English 10 students, today's lesson is going to be focusing on thesis statements. I know that this is something that you're familiar with. This is a topic you're familiar with. I know it's something that you've done in the past, and so what we're going to do is both review where we've been and kind of build moving forward as well. So today's learning targets are: I can craft a high-level thesis statement that adheres to the basic qualifications and requirements, and I can articulate my thoughts on complex components of the text. So those are the two things we're going to be working on. Those are the two things that at the end of this lesson and the accompanying work we should be a little bit better at. So I'd like to begin by asking you, in your own words, what is a thesis statement? So if you're watching this video, feel free to go ahead and pause and just think about that for a second. What is a thesis statement in your own words? Go ahead. There are very likely many ways that you could define a thesis statement, but we'll kind of go with a very classic definition, being that a thesis statement is a statement that is put forth as a position to be maintained and proved. And kind of the part of the sentence that would continue on if it did would be maintained and proved throughout whatever speech or piece of writing you happen to be working on. So thesis statements, here's some general guidelines and rules. For a thesis statement, you have to take a clear, direct stance in your thesis statement. They should not be vague. Thesis statements should not be vague or wishy-washy, or they should not simply summarize facts or state facts from whatever piece of writing you're writing about, if you are writing about a piece of writing. So they should not be vague, wishy-washy, or just kind of summarize things. Instead, a thesis statement provides direction to a piece of writing and lets the reader know a couple things. First, what the writing will be about, or the direction that it will take, and it also lets the reader know about the writer's stance. The writer's stance on whatever topic or position they happen to be writing about. Now, what you'll tend to find is that while there are some outliers or there are some kind of different rules in different scenarios, thesis statements generally follow these guidelines or have the following characteristics. They generally are one sentence, are placed at the end of the introductory paragraph if there is one, and are restated in some kind of different way in the conclusion. Those are some kind of good general principles and guidelines that you're probably familiar with about thesis statements. And again, there are situations where a thesis may look different, but this is sort of the standard definition and use. Now, with all that in mind, even though you're maybe comfortable with writing thesis statements or have done it a lot in the past, I'm going to propose that writing a thesis statement is actually one of the most challenging, difficult things to do as a writer. It's one of the most challenging tasks you can have. So the question, of course, is why is that the case? Why is it so hard? What makes it so hard? One of the main reasons why it's so difficult is because in many ways it's the most important thing you do. There's the most weight on it. It is the most significant, important piece of your writing, and everything in some way or another sort of hinges on it. And so there's a lot of pressure, or there's a lot of expectation about what your thesis statement should look like, therefore it's hard to do well. Nearly everything you write must, one way or another, point back to the thesis statement. Because of that, you really want to make sure that it's done correctly, that it's done well. There's kind of like one spot to take time and really spend time working and crafting and really developing to a high level. It's the thesis statement, because everything should flow out of it. Think of it kind of like the backbone of your writing. Everything is structured around it, and you need that backbone for a sturdy everything else. As we get going and as we look at some examples and practice it ourselves, I want to pause and just sort of acknowledge something, that there does exist a difference between, let's just say, a traditional thesis statement and a AP World History thesis statement. And so something that I've asked Mr. Welly to do, the AP World History teacher, is explain these differences, how they are kind of different things, and in part because the College Board just expects certain things from an AP World History thesis statement. So Mr. Peter Welly is going to explain why they're different, how they're different, and how they're not necessarily in conflict. They are different, and they're not necessarily in conflict. They kind of work together, but they are separate and distinct things. And so here's Mr. Peter Welly.
All right, English students, this is Mr. Welly talking to you from my own classroom, and I want to talk about how the construction of a thesis, and a thesis statement in particular, works hand in hand with what you're doing in your English class and what we do in AP World History, how they work hand in hand. Now, if you're not in AP World History, you can just ignore this or take this as food for thought. But these are not two things that are in tension with each other or in conflict with each other. I think they really can work together, but it does sort of help maybe to have someone articulate what the distinction is. Okay, so let's just go into history mode for 1 second, and let's imagine we had an essay prompt. Here's an essay prompt I've used in class in the past. I don't know how you feel about bringing up the Black Death right now in this age of coronavirus, but the prompt says, using documents provided and your knowledge of world history, analyze responses to the Black Death in the period 1340 to 1350. Okay, so I don't want to get into all the history thinking we have to do here for this, but let's just sort of look at a couple sentences here where a student in my class would be laying out their thesis, okay? So you see the first sentence, it says here, in the years 1340 to 1350, the Black Death wreaked havoc across Europe and Asia and the worst biomedical disaster in human history. Now this is just a bit of throat clearing. It's using some of the key terms from the prompt, which is good practice. And then we get into the phrase that the sentence that I've highlighted here or put in bold would be like a simple, concise thesis statement, like what Mr. Burka might be coaching you toward in your class. It says, during its peak around 1348, the Black Death resulted in profound religious and economic changes. There's the rub. That's it in a nutshell. And I'm laying out a couple categories of change, all right? So this is an essential part of a thesis, of getting a thesis point in AP World History class. You have to say something like that, all right? It's not like, don't do what Mr. Burka says in AP World History. No, you actually won't get the point in AP World History if you don't put in some sentence that just sort of has it there, laid out plain and bare, and states what the categories of your response are. However, the College Board, which is sort of builds the rubric for our course, also says you need to sort of specifically lay out where your arguments are going to go, all right? So carrying on, the portion in red here is what you would also need, or something like this, what you would need in addition to get a thesis point in AP World History. So we carry on. Western European victims and bystanders reacted with crazed religious intensity or abandonment, punishing themselves for their sins or abandoning work and giving themselves over to pleasure for their final days. The drop in population also had a peculiar effect of increasing the value of peasant labor in Europe, which resulted in violent tension over wages and social mobility. Okay, now I, as a reader of this essay, can block off two big fat body paragraphs that are going to be a part of this essay, and I can tell where you're going to go, and it's your job now in those body paragraphs to sort of lay out that part of the argument and start providing me with specific supporting evidence and analysis and explanation and all that other stuff. Think of it like this. In a book like you guys read, Guns, Germs, and Steel, all right? Jared Diamond at the beginning does not, he has a thesis statement, a single statement, like maybe something like this, where he lays out maybe the rub of his arguments, but it's sort of also built into a broader paragraph in that, I forgot if it's in the preface or in the prologue, right? It's like he's laying out his thinking and he's laying out the arguments he's going to go into, and then he's like, now for more detail, turn and sort of explore the chapters in the book. So what we're looking for in AP World is sort of a meaty couple sentences that tells me very specifically where you're going to be going with this, what kinds of arguments you're going to make, but those have to follow a single concise summary statement of your argument. Okay, I hope that brings some clarity, and I'm sure Mr. Burka is gonna clear some of this up even further, and if you have questions, come talk.
Okay, if you have Mr. Peter Welly, be sure to thank him for helping out with the video here. So here's an example of what a high-level thesis statement, traditional thesis statement, looks like. And just know, it's not perfect, but it's pretty good. This is sort of the type of thesis statement, the level of writing that I might expect from my sophomore English students this year. Let's imagine that this thesis statement is written for an essay about the power of language. Language daily affects people in a variety of ways and causes both devastation and restoration to relationships and identities, which makes it powerful, it being, of course, language. So again, this is not perfect, but it's pretty good. It's a good start. So the question, of course, is how did we get there? How did we get to this level of thesis statement? And in order to see that, let's work backwards. Something that I want to encourage you to do, don't try and just hit a home run right away. Don't just try and write the best thesis statement you possibly can right out of the gate. That might sound counterintuitive, but it's actually a lot easier to start at a very simple basic thesis statement and work upwards rather than just kind of reach the last level right away. So let's work backwards from this finished thesis statement. I'll provide steps that offer tips and suggestions on how to slowly build a thesis statement from very simple and basic to high level and complex. So here's step one, and I'd like you to begin with just writing a simple statement. For this first step, I recommend starting with a very simple statement that answers or responds to the prompt in the most direct, basic way possible. And so throughout this year, you will have many prompts that you respond to. It might be really helpful to, at least at the beginning, start by just answering the prompt in the most basic way possible that provides a response with your stance. Remember, thesis statements have to show the reader's stance or the writer's stance. So, essay prompt, is language powerful? Step one, language is powerful. So you can see I'm answering the prompt in the most basic way possible. It's clear, it's direct, it's not wishy-washy, it's providing my stance as the writer. I'm letting you know my stance while keeping the language academic and formal, of course. But this is step one, just a very simple statement that answers the prompt in a very basic way. So here's step two. For the second step, I recommend adding a because statement that provides context or a reason for your stance. A because statement is not wrong necessarily, but it's not quality grade level writing. It is a helpful place to start though, just to get your ideas down and sort of provide a little bit more of a complex structure. So again, the essay prompt is language powerful. Step two, language is powerful because it affects people. And you can see the added language is in green. Language is powerful because it affects people. I've given a reason to my thesis statement in the form of a because statement. But remember, we want to eventually move away from that because statement. This was just to get the ball rolling. So step three is to rephrase what you've just done. For the third step, I recommend rephrasing and restructuring your thesis statement by moving the reason to the beginning of the thesis statement. This removes the because statement and makes it a bit more sophisticated and age appropriate. Now the reason step two exists, because you might be asking, why would we do step two if we're just going to rephrase it anyways? It's easier to rephrase something and make it better than come up with that something better from the get-go. It's kind of easier to do it step by step by step rather than just hit this step right away, if that makes sense. So here's step three. The effect language has on people makes it powerful. So again, we have an active verb there. You can see in green how I've moved the reason to the beginning. I have an active verb. I've removed the because statement. This is a little bit more age appropriate. So we've stated our basic position. We've added a reason, and then we've rephrased that reason to have it be a little bit more sophisticated. So step four is to continue to add context. You'll notice there's a pattern of add reason or context, rephrase. Add reason or context, rephrase. We're slowly building and developing. So step four, for step four, I recommend adding context that helps develop your initial reason. Ask yourself questions like why, so what, to what extent, how, etc. And how you answer those questions might give you insight in how you could add context to your thesis statement. So again, essay prompt, is language powerful? So you can see what I've done in green here. Language affects people in many ways and can cause great damage or repair, which makes it powerful. So again, you can see how those questions, why, so what, to what extent, how I might have answered some of those questions manifest themselves in how I've added context to my thesis statement, in the green writing there, right? How I've answered those questions kind of show up in that green writing. Language affects people, well how, to what extent? And I've answered it in the green, and then I have my reason, which makes it powerful, or my stance, which makes it powerful. So you can guess what step five is, rephrasing and adding some higher level vocabulary. So for the fifth step, your thesis should be in pretty decent shape. At this point, I recommend taking a close look at the thesis's structure and your word choices. Find places to be a little bit more specific. Find places to rephrase for clarity, read your thesis out loud. Does it make sense? So again, here's the essay prompt. Is language powerful? So for step five, I'm rephrasing, I'm adding in different vocabulary. Language affects people in a variety of ways and causes both devastation and restoration, which makes it powerful. So you can see I haven't really changed the basic structure or even the basic content of the thesis statement. I've just rephrased it and added some higher level vocabulary so it sounds a little bit more sophisticated and age appropriate. And so here for the sixth step, for the sixth and final step, look for tiny spots to add helpful, important context. Again, you're kind of asking yourself some of those questions, where can I add some of this context? So, and yes, this is getting nuanced, this is getting specific and nitpicky, but that's often what it takes to produce excellent writing. If you want to write really well, it takes this level of attention to detail and kind of like picking through all of the little words, making sure every word and phrase is in there intentionally. It's this kind of level of detail and revising that's necessary for excellent writing. So again, the essay prompt is language powerful. Here's what I've done in step 6, and you can see the additions in green. Language daily affects people in a variety of ways and causes both devastation and restoration to relationships and identities, which makes it powerful. So I've added a qualifier there. Language affects people to what extent? Daily. Causes devastation and restoration to whom? Relationships and identities, which makes it powerful. So here's the steps 1 through 6 overview. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you can see how the thesis statement kind of changed over time. So I recommend pausing the video at this point and just kind of looking step by step the changes and additions we made. I know we just went over them, but it's helpful to see it all at once. So pause and just take a look at all of the thesis statements on the screen right now. Go ahead. Again, I want to reiterate that your thesis statement is the main point of your writing. It's the backbone, so make it count. If there's a place to really spend time, this is the place to spend time and energy. Your argument hinges on it. Everything in your writing goes back to it, and it's your primary job to prove your thesis statement. So everything comes out of it, everything goes back to it. Your primary job in any piece of writing is to prove and maintain your thesis statement, so it's a pretty big deal. Again, if there's one spot to really spend time revising and editing and crafting in your writing, it's your thesis statement. This will set you up well for the rest of your writing moving forward. That's all for this lesson, class. Thank you, and I'll see you in the next one.